Welcome back to another video. Tonight, we're going to talk about specifically core confidence and specifically confidence without having specifically competence in any one field or any given context. DBB asked this question, and I think it's a good question because I haven't covered it yet. And I'm going to call this video Three Pillars of Core Confidence. This is the only confidence video that you will need. Okay. So, and if you're familiar with my other breakdown videos and how I break things down, you'll see exactly why. Because this is going to be very thorough, it's going to be very clear, and you're going to know exactly what to do. So, first of all, let's define confidence. So, what is confidence? So, confidence is the feeling of certainty internally. And I have my notes here, by the way. So, I'm going to be looking at my notes, and then also explaining things as we go along. So, confidence can be is a feeling of certainty in qualities or internal abilities. Core confidence must be grounded in what is real and true about yourself. It's self-reliance and recognition and trust of your intrinsic abilities. So it's basically an inner knowing, if you will, an inner knowing that it doesn't really matter what the scenario is, that you're able, you trust yourself and you're able to handle yourself and that situation. It doesn't mean that you know the outcome. Because think about it like this. Professional athletes are confident. Everybody would agree with that. So you have to ask yourself, is the guy who loses in the ring not confident? Was he not confident? Was the team that lost in the basketball finals, in some final playoff game, were they not confident? Of course not. Right? They were confident. They were really confident, but they still lost. So the outcome is not necessarily relevant to whether you have confidence or not, right? It's the attitude that you bring to the thing. But it's more than just the attitude, it's the psychological disposition that you have around viewing the world and the opportunities or the challenges that are available to you. So, confidence can be generated from within and from without. And it's fundamentally by how you specifically interact with these two worlds, the inner world and the outer world. So let's talk about the inner world first, and then we'll talk about the outer world, because the inner will feed into the outer and the outer feeds into the inner, right? Because you're not going to just be confident and then do nothing, of course. And it also doesn't make sense for you to do a bunch of stuff and then just never feel confident ever. That doesn't really happen, right? So let's talk about specifically the three pillars. The first one is going to be generating confidence from within and then moving without. So basically, you're feeling confident first and then you do stuff. And I think this is what a lot of people think about when they consider core confidence, but it actually works in both ways. So let's talk about the first pillar first. You generate confidence. This is number one. You generate confidence through the understanding that you have the capacity, right? The innate ability to engage with anything. So this is a psychological frame, like I mentioned. It can precede action because it's the recognition of your ability. So basically, you're saying you're regarding yourself as somebody who is able and capable of doing anything they want to do. And remember, when I say doing, I mean the actual doing, the taking of the actions, not necessarily the outcome itself, right? It's the confidence in the doing, in your abilities. So this is the if I want to, quote unquote, I could, and then insert blank frame. That's the frame that you have, right? If I want to, I could, and then XYZ. That's the frame that you have, right? I could play a sport. I could socialize with people I don't know. I could, take a professional risk. I could talk to this group of people or whatever the case is. So it's applied to the doing, like I mentioned, to the doing, but not the outcome, because the outcome, you cannot control that. You can only control the doing. So this generates the confidence in the ability to do, right? This is what we're talking about here. The confidence in your ability to do. That's all you need. You don't need anything else. A lot of people think that you need confidence to become something. It's not really about becoming in this case or the outcome. It's just about the things that you do. So let's say, for example, like you want to talk to a stranger, right? You want to talk to some girl, right? You're at a bar or some guy, whatever. And you have to ask yourself, is the guy who stands there and never talks to anybody, the whole night, but he looks cool. Is he the confident one? Like, let's assume that that guy wants to talk to people, right? Let's assume that. Like, there are some people who just don't want to talk to anybody. They're just there to chill. They're just there to talk with their buddy or be with their friend or not in the mood or whatever, right? That's not really the point here. But the point is like the inner desire, right? So the inner desire is the same. Or the guy who talks to like 100 different people and gets rejected 100 times. Well, you can tell yourself, well, maybe it's not the best outcome. But the fact of the matter is that through the doing itself, it's like the demonstration, like the action demonstrates the confidence. It's not like you just have confidence in a vacuum, like it's just siloed off. It's not confidence in a vacuum. Confidence is in association with something else. It doesn't mean you have to be competent, right? Just like DBB's comment. It's not about competence. It's not about that. Forget about the competence. You don't have to be good at anything to be confident. That's not the point, right? The point is you're confident in the ability to just do whatever, right? So you can approach somebody, you can sit there and take a test, right? You have a confidence in being able to take a test. It doesn't mean that you're going to pass. And I'm going to talk about the difference between confidence and delusion, right? Reality versus illusion, right? Confidence versus delusion, or confidence versus arrogance. I'm going to talk about that a little bit later because we're going to make distinctions here. Like I said, this video is going to be very comprehensive. So continuing with point number one, as you do anything, how you regard and relate to yourself when you fail and make mistakes gives you the opportunity to increase confidence. As a matter of fact, that is what generates the confidence, because you may have a little bit of confidence and then you fail and you make a mistake, and all of a sudden you get demoralized. Then your confidence is lower than it was before. So anything you do, it's like you basically have a choice here. So you choose to become more confident through recognizing the lesson after you fail or make the mistake and utilizing the lessons to improve. That's option one. Option two is you allow the failures to define you and destroy you because of your self-talk and your perception. So those are the only two outcomes. So fundamentally, it's how you're regarding and relating to yourself after you make a mistake. Because you're like, okay, I have the confidence, the ability to do things, right? So yeah, I could do that. I've seen it done before, or theoretically I could do it. It's possible, right? It doesn't matter if you fail. This is the point. You don't have to be good at anything. You don't have to forget about being good, forget about the outcome, forget about all of that. It's just the doing, right? That's it. You're like, I can do X, Y, Z. Of course you can. Of course you can do it, because all you need to do is just the things themselves. So just have that frame. It's like, I can do anything. I don't have to be excellent at it. I don't have to attain some outcome. I just have to do it. And then after the doing, because you will fail and make mistakes, it's how you relate to yourself and those feelings that will determine whether you become more confident or less confident. So remember, when you fail and when you make a mistake, the thing that you have to say to yourself is, what did I just learn here? So you're recognizing the lesson. And then how can I use that lesson? That's your frame. That's literally it. Forget about I'm not good enough, or if your perception is in that capacity is completely self-destructive and not relevant, right? Now you can tell yourself that, well, I don't really want to play basketball, so I'm not really interested in this. I know I'm not good at it, but I wasn't interested in the first place. I just wanted to see if I could do it. That's kind of like you're checking, it's a reality check that you're giving yourself. That's fine, right? But if you start like speaking negatively about yourself and justifying your actions and giving yourself reasons not to do something that you actually want to do, then you know what you're doing, right? You're using your mind in the negative direction. You're becoming less confident, because not only are you becoming less confident, it also makes you less likely that you're going to do the thing again in the future. So the only self-talk that you want is, what is this teaching me, right? So what's the lesson and how can I use it? That's the first pillar. The second pillar is going from without to within. So there's no confidence before the doing, right? So situation one is you feel the confidence, you have that psychological frame of confidence, and then you do the thing. Second frame is you don't have any confidence, right, before you do anything, but you just do it. And the mere fact that you did it will create the confidence just by the doing. So let's break that down. So we're breaking down every pillar. So you generate confidence through the application of the knowledge that you had in frame one, in pillar one, that you can do the same things that other people do. That you see like confident people, quote unquote, you see them do things. You can do the same things. Of course you can, right? It doesn't mean that you're going to be as successful or you're going to attain some outcome, but you can still do this stuff, right? So you're generating the confidence through the application in this case. So knowing that you are able, like we talked about in the first pillar, you must now engage with XYZ, right? Driving your car on a track, talking to some girl, taking the test, launching a business, taking the sales call, whatever, right? Talking to a group of people, whatever it is that you want to do. Because that way you get the feedback and greater understanding so you can make the adjustments. So basically, you feel weak, you don't feel confident, you do it anyway, you engage in the thing, and now after you engage, this is where your perceptions come in. Because just like I mentioned at the end of pillar one, where you're basically using your mind to orient yourself towards the lessons and how you can use the lessons, it's really the same concept here. But this time you don't have any confidence. But then once the result happens, whatever that is, if it's a good thing, then you give yourself credit, you give yourself respect, and then you can continue. Because remember, you always have to recognize yourself for doing positive things. And I'm going to get to that as well. But in this case, let's say you fail or you make a mistake. You get the feedback and greater understanding so you can make the adjustments. Confidence self-reinforces through doing what is uncomfortable, right? Developing confidence requires intentional awareness of what you do and the credit you give to yourself for doing the things. So this is very key. You're always stopping and pausing, recognizing yourself either before, during, or after, or a combination of all of those things. You're recognizing yourself for doing those things, right? You're recognizing yourself for doing the things. This is important because I'm telling you right now is that if you're not naturally a confident person and you don't do this type of stuff, then you're always going to remain not confident. So it's really about installing this frame, and you have to actually hammer it home. And the good thing about what I'm talking about is not only are you going to have this video, but I'm also going to record everything that I'm writing, all of my notes. You're going to have it comprehensively. It's going to be partially in the description of this video, but also I'm going to write an entire article around confidence, and I'm going to link that article. So that way you can go to my newsletter and you can read that whole article, and you're going to know exactly what you need to do because I'm spelling it out for you right now. So this is the if I can do it once, I can do it always frame, right? If I can do it once, I can do it always frame. So let me explain this frame. This frame is actually comes from a personal story of mine. It maybe sounds a bit bizarre, but you get the point. So in my past, I actually did I sang, well, I did lessons for opera lessons. So I remember I was, a couple months in, and I was with my opera teacher. He's a singer himself, a professional singer, and I hit a note as we were practicing scales, and the timbre was there, the vibrato was there. It's like everything was there, and as soon as I hit it, I kind of stopped. I shocked myself, like I hit it, and he was like, "Yes, that's it. That was it." And then a couple classes after that, I couldn't hit the note, and I was getting frustrated. I'm like, man, why can't I do it? And he told me exactly what I just told you. He said, if you can do it once, you can do it always. And that's when I remembered. It's like, I have it within me. So you have it within you. Once you do that, it's a notch in your belt. It's experience. Nobody can ever take that away from you. Nobody, nothing. You always have it. So once you do it once, you can do it again. That's it. That's the frame you want to have. Do it once, you do it again. Doesn't matter if I'm confident or not, right? So you could take both approaches. So even if you can't generate that confidence in pillar one, all you have to do is go to pillar two and be like, okay, you know what? I'm going to do it anyway. And then I'm going to install that frame where I could kind of like use the lesson and get the feedback so I could learn. That way it's a notch in my belt. I know that I did it. I know I can do it again. And now I know what I need to do in the future. So that in itself is confidence. You have to actually take a pause. You have to pause and you have to think about these things and actually go through them, because that's the way you're going to ingrain that core confidence in yourself. It's not going to magically happen one day and you're just going to be confident with everything you do, right? It's an intentional practice of you doing everything that we're just talking about right now. So just doing the things that we're talking about. Number 3, the confidence worldview, right? This is kind of like linking both of these things together, right? You're linking both of these things together now. So it's going from the inner to the outer to the inner. So you become confident through distinguishing what you can control from what you can't control. Then taking responsibility for what is in your control, regardless of how you feel. So let's break that down. What does this mean? First of all, you can't control everything. You can't control other people's reactions to you, right? So confidence emerges from your actions, not the reactions of other people. That goes back to my whole, the guy, the hypothetical guy, or maybe it's, one of your friends or something, somebody who approaches like so many people and they just get rejected left, right, and center, as an example. And this is just not like in a dating context. It could be like in a professional context, it could be in an interview context, it could be in a like trying to develop friendship context, any context really. The reactions don't matter. The outcome doesn't matter. Nothing matters except your actions and how you frame those actions, how you think about those actions. That's all that matters. Because again, we're talking about core confidence. Forget about other people's reactions. They're irrelevant, right? So the fact that you did X is what's important, not how someone else responded to X. Not important. Not important. Now it's going to give you information as far as like feedback. So as far as like how to make adjustments, but that has no bearing on your confidence. The only thing that matters is your action, not anybody else's reaction. So that's your frame, right? That's your worldview, is that distinguishing. That's the only thing I can control. That's what I can control. My actions, my efforts, my energy. That's it. Nobody else's. So put that to the side. That's your frame, right? Your confidence frame. Remember that. One thing that you can do to generate confidence very easily, in addition to the points that I've mentioned, so those are the three pillars, is what I talk about basically on a daily basis on my channel, and the entire purpose of this channel, which is essentially to teach you that everything that you need, everything that you want is within you already. You just have to learn how to access it, to generate the tools and then use those tools properly, right? So if you think about what I talk about as far as like daily habits and why they're important, I'm not going to go through the whole rundown right now, but there's like a sequence of things that you do to basically prime yourself. You set your body right, you set your mind right, and now you're ready for the day. And that process feeds into every other process that you do, right? It's kind of like your life process that will feed into like your relationship process, your professional process, your money-making process, any other process that you want to engage in. It's kind of like your priming. And for me, I'm not going to go into it right now, but it's really fundamentally doing a series of things, right? Stretching, meditating, writing a journal, writing a voice memo, exercising. Like there's a bunch of stuff that I do. And again, the process itself can be short, it can be long, it doesn't really matter, right? It's whatever works for you. But the point here is that confidence will also come from that, right? So it can happen in the privacy of your own home. It doesn't have to be in relationship to like other things and other people. So confidence comes from setting tasks and going through your habits every day and executing on them. Think about that. You are telling yourself, right, that you have specified A, B, C, D. And when you do A, B, C, D, you've told yourself that you're going to do them. You did them. And now you're validating the belief that you had about the abilities, the intrinsic abilities that are within you. You're validating that. You're saying, I can do it, and I did it. Now, but the point here is it's not you just do it and you just move along. You have to pause. You have to actively create awareness around what you're doing. Because when you actively create awareness around what you're doing, you're able to replicate that and also install the type of thinking around those activities as opposed to just mindlessly doing them. Okay? So you tell yourself that this is something very simple, but this is very clear. Tell yourself win, right? Or done. Every time you got it done. Done. You can hit your chest, give yourself a mental fist bump, right? Or just like, you know what I mean? You can do something, you can think about things in a more detailed way, you can record a memo, you can write a journal, but you have to do something that actually puts the recognition out there, right? To yourself. This is the point I'm trying to make. So you're kind of recognizing yourself. So the confidence comes from setting tasks and completing those tasks. That's it. You say you're going to do ABCD, you do ABCD. It doesn't have to be in relationship to like the thing that you necessarily want to be confident in. It can be anything before that, right? Because again, think about it like this. If you want to generate core confidence, you're like, okay, Constantine, I don't want to go into a scenario where I have to use pillar 2, where I'm not feeling confident, but I have to expect the confidence to come after the doing. Fantastic. Then what you do then you work on pillar one, like I mentioned, as far as like that psychological frame within. If it's too intangible for you, like you can't do it by itself, then what you do is you pair that with activities that you do in private, right? Going to the gym, eating healthy, doing something hard by yourself, right? Do that stuff. And that'll create the confidence that you're seeking. So it doesn't have to be within the context of something else. And remember, it's not about the outcome. It's not about that. It's not about how good you do it. It's the fact that you did it. Okay. So let's talk about the distinctions now. So I mentioned the three pillars, which is basically from within, from without, and the confidence worldview. I made some distinctions here and how you can use this tool very, very effectively. Now let's talk about the awareness of reality versus illusion. So real confidence is I can and I do. That's real confidence. I can and I do. Delusion is I can, but I do not. So you don't want to delude yourself. Like, yeah, I can talk to that girl if I want to. Yeah, I can get jacked in the gym. Yeah, I can kick that guy's ass. Can you though? Can you? Can you? You have to do, right? So that's delusion. Don't fall into that trap, right? What I'm talking about here is not I can, and then you don't do shit, right? No, it's I can and I do. That's real confidence. I can, but I do not is delusion, right? So make that very clear to yourself. And I'm making it very simply. I'm making it very simple, so you can basically just retain all this information. So if you're like writing notes, which you should be, you should also rewind this video and take notes. It's going to be very helpful. Making it very simple. Now, compensation or arrogance, right? Because you know this, you don't want to get, you want to get too far, right? Too far down that line. Compensation or arrogance comes from I am better than and more important than this person. So you're making yourself better than somebody else or more important than somebody else. And you're doing it in like an ostentatious way. It's very clear when somebody's compensating or arrogant. And you just notice that within yourself. If you're being that guy, just note to yourself that you're feeling insecure, so you're compensating. And why are you feeling insecure? Well, there's a part of you that feels like maybe you can't do it because you haven't done it yet, or you haven't tried hard enough. You haven't put in 100%. So you have to analyze to yourself, why are you doing this? But just don't allow yourself to get to that level. So if you're not there at all, like if you're not this type of person that's going to like compensate and feel and be arrogant, then just recognize that arrogance is I am better than and I'm more important than XYZ person, right? Because typically it's like a comparison game when we're talking about arrogance. So real confidence is I can and I do. Delusion is I can, but I do not. And arrogance is I am better and more important than. Okay, those are the three distinctions there. So that was the video. Very comprehensive. I think it was a good one. If you agree, let me know. Leave a like. It always helps. To subscribe to the channel, leave a comment. Let me know what you think. You know, if you have a question, if you have a comment, you think I missed something, if you disagreed with me, if you agreed with me, anything, just let me know. You could follow me on X, DM me there as well. And I read all the comments, right? In fact, the only reason I recorded this video is thanks to DBB. Like, I'm not saying his whole name. I think it's what is it here? DBB2347, right? Thanks to him, I'm recording this video. So if you like this video, you can thank him as well. So if you want me to cover something, just let me know and I'll cover it just like this video. So I hope that was helpful for you. In the meantime, I will leave you with that, and I'll see you tomorrow as usual.